a wonderful place existed.
The Athenians called it the Acropolis. Free expression, ethics, art, philosophy. The Acropolis heralded the democracy. But if I told you the Acropolis has returned. Acropolis News. News from the Acropolis.
I'm an American. I like my cars fast and my burgers delicious. But what I also like is the government to get a warrant before it violates my rights. And that's why I trust NordVPN. NordVPN is one of the most affordable VPNs out there with a wide listing range of features, including features that help boost your computer's overall speed and performance, which with the internet here, God knows, not only do I need and use, but the thing is, there is a good chance that you both need and could use a VPN yourself. So why not help the channel out? Click the affiliate link down below in the description and get yourself one of the best VPNs out there at the most affordable price. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of the show. Alright, it's business as usual with the Trevor Report. The previous one was an hour long. Not going to apologize for that. Needed to be done, that one. But, yeah, and much like how the Trevor Report is business as usual, we also have American culture as usual. Tim Pool forced to evacuate during live broadcast due to potentially credible threat. Today's Trevor Report is a theme. It is a theme of campaigns. A theme of campaigns from our betters. We have the targeted harassment campaign in the sense of what's been going on with Tim Pool, where he's been swatted for like 20 times or whatever at this point. A huge number, an absurd number, a stupidly high number, a pointlessly high number, but the guy that's trying to kill Tim Pool is trying to go for some kind of world record. Now, I hope I don't have to explain what swatting is, but just in case, I'm going to do it anyway. Swatting is when you call in a SWAT team during a live broadcast or some kind of law enforcement on someone doing a live broadcast, and it's with the intent to end the stream, but end the stream in such a way so that the police barge in on your door and shoot you or whatever because they think that you have a hostage or something. You know, it's kind of the reason from the get-go I'm pre-recording these and not just like going live and doing them, and it's kind of why I don't want to do live shows. And it's not because I script anything, okay? I turn on the camera, turn on the microphone, one take, you know, probably edit the audio like on the back end a little bit, up the volume, and then I'll probably, who knows, but and then I put the intro in the video at the front of it, the outro at the end of it, right? But I don't. This is making me shy away from doing live broadcasting because, like, so what? Some overly zealous, upper middle class shrew can lie about me while I'm live and try to get me killed. No, thank you. I'm not having that. But Tim Pool has his business model. It's a fantastic business model, by the way, but it's gotten so big he can't change it. But there is one thing he can do, and it's on the same subject of swatting. It's someone else who has been swatted. The quartering, he's been swatted a few times too. He apparently has a negotiation with the police to keep him from experiencing these continuous targeted swatting. Targeted swatting campaign. I think that's what I'm going to call segment 1. Who knows? But yeah. So in summary, get a VPN, get some kind of internet privacy if you're showing your name and your face out there on the internet during a live broadcast. It's actually rather difficult to have internet anonymity and internet privacy, but yeah, but here's the thing: how the quartering is handling himself with the swatting is he turned it into a meme. He turned it into not only a meme, he turned it into a way to make money. And I've included the link in the description for to the video where he talks about it in the show notes. But yeah, so we gotta go even further into the swatting, but this is more on the lines of doxing. We're going to be using a lot of internet terms here but just in case, if I have to explain doxing is basically when you reveal information, is where you reveal the location and or personal information of someone on the internet with the intent of getting a mass crowd of people, or even one overzealous lunatic, and all of the range in between, to make the life of the person that you doxed a living hell. And that's what's going on here. But this time it's the corporate press is doing this doxing. Armed, to be fair, where people live and such. If you do it, if you put enough labor into it, you can get the location of anyone. If you have enough money and you dedicate enough time. But long story short, all previous show reports linked down below in the description. But protesting outside a Supreme Court justice's home with the intent of swaying their vote does not fall under the First Amendment, and it's actually a felony. But yeah, so Brett Kavanaugh had a man show up with equipment that is used to kidnap. Some zip ties, some stuff to knock Kavanaugh and presumably his family unconscious, so that he can take him and presumably his family hostage. But this guy traveled to Maryland from California, and as a Californian, I would just like to say that our invasion that's currently underway globally, the sort of California politics that has infected the rest of the United States. We're not sending our best, and to be fair, the what I would call the best in California don't agree with this at all whatsoever. But yeah, take all of that with what you will, and for some mysterious reason, and by mysterious reason I mean completely expected, 27 House Democrats opposed a bill expanding security for Supreme Court families. Now, just had a guy try to kidnap a Supreme Court justice and his family. So yeah, more than 24 House Democrats voted against a bill on Tuesday that calls for expanding security protections to family members of Supreme Court justices. The bill cleared the Senate last month by unanimous consent, meaning all 100 members approved the measure, which allowed it to pass without a formal vote. The legislation now heads to President Joe Biden's final desk for approval. The measure seeks to provide an around-the-clock security protection to family members of Supreme Court justices and any officer who works for the bench. If the court-martial believes it is necessary, those protections are similar to the security provided to some officials in the executive and legislative branches. A total of 27 Democrats, and as you could have guessed, Alexandria Ocasio-Robespierre is on there. Maxine Waters is on there, and everyone you could think of is on here. Every single one you can think of. And look, this is how this looks. It literally, and look, it passed through the House and it passed through the Senate, so it doesn't particularly matter because the bill's passed. If Biden vetoes this bill for whatever reason, then what you have is a scenario where the uniparty, or at least the back end of the uniparty, the sort of evil puppet masters of the uniparty, the American uniparty. I understand that other countries have their uniparties as well, but the back end of the uniparty, right? The people that people hate, right? The Democrats. And then there's the front end of the uniparty, right? Those are the Republicans, and the only reason they voted yes is because it's primary season. If it wasn't primary season, they would side. You would find plenty of House Republicans siding with these Democrats. You would. You just would. And there probably are some Republicans that voted against this. And to be fair, if I found evidence that there was something in the bill to protect Supreme Court justices that had nothing to do with protecting Supreme Court justices, if the bill was, say, I don't know, longer than 15 pages, which is beyond what is reasonable, then I probably would have voted no too. And I could only survive one term in Congress because I would be voting no on everything, even the good things, because I'd have the standard of if it's longer than 15 pages, I would just not sign it. That's basically what it is for me. And it's not because I wouldn't read it. Like, I do my due diligence and read it and things like that. But the difficulty is, like, you have these 5,593 page omnibus spending bills in the middle of Christmas season, right? You have things like that. Like, that's not good for the American populace. Okay, that's more pages than the Bible. That actually 5,593 pages eclipses the Bible. So that's the guy who I remember there was this guy, this poor clerk who wheelbarrowed in the omnibus spending bill in December. You know, that can't be permitted. I just can't. Yeah, I don't know what that rant is about, because we got to move on to the next segment, and I promise this to be a quick one, and it's already been 11 minutes. Twitter employees are currently debating whether to ban us. This is a tweet from Libs of TikTok. We have screenshots of their internal discussion. Substack dropping shortly. Subscribe, and I highly recommend you subscribe to Libs of TikTok's Substack. There you go. Just do it. Just a flat out endorsement of journalism. Anyway, update. I have now received about a dozen death threats after radical leftists accuse me of being a domestic terrorist extremist. Twitter has not removed any of the accounts of those who sent the threats. Now, yes, Libs of TikTok, they did call you a domestic terrorist extremist, but you forgot to include, and perhaps it's the character limit of Twitter, but you forgot to include racist, sexist, homophobic, alt-right, Nazi, maggot, fascist, neo-Nazi, bigot, maggot, fascist. You forgot to add that, because they do call you that too. But yeah, it turns out one of them turned out to be a joke, and it's in the threads with all the stuff. But Glenn Greenwald chimed in. This is what it's like to be a woman on the internet who got doxxed by a newspaper owned by the world's richest man. Actual death threats and encouragement of suicide, since liberal outlets only care when this happens to rich, famous national journalists. They'll ignore us. Now, I'm going to add some caveats because we're about to get into a declaration that Taylor Lorenz made, right? Glenn Greenwald is an American, and if you listen to him, he has an American accent, and he talks like an American with his American accent. And I know, super in-depth analysis right there. But the thing is, Glenn Greenwald is also a socialist. Like, he flat out called himself a socialist on the Jimmy Dore show once. Okay, but to be fair, he's not the sort of evil socialist. I know there's only a handful of them, but Glenn Greenwald is part of that handful, right? Same thing with with Jimmy Dore and that sort of sphere of online politics, where they are socialists, but they're not trying to bring about the supremacy of reason, which, it means they're not actually socialists. But I'm not going to get into the philosophy of it of everything too much. But the point is, when he says liberal, he means uniparty. When he means liberal, he doesn't mean left wing, because in the United States we have this tendency to say that everything liberal is just everything left wing. And, well, first off, based, but the thing is, as much as I want to say that's based, that doesn't really reflect reality. But when Glenn Greenwald does that, he means uniparty when he says liberal. When he says liberal, he means like Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, this sort of corporatist environment. He would say liberal is right wing, is what he would also say, which I guess that's true. Look, the point is, he's in a previous paradigm, but Glenn Greenwald is certainly, without a shadow of a doubt, left wing. He's actually has a form of left-wing politics that's actually acceptable. That's not trying to deprive people of their rights. That doesn't treat people like second-class citizens for being born incorrect. He's good. He's not bad. He's good. But Taylor Lorenz is on the other side of left-wing politics, and we have such an interesting thread. So basically, Libs of TikTok was like, I just got a death threat. Someone tried to kill me. Sorry, there are a dozen people threatening to kill me. And then Taylor Lorenz is like, oh, of course, which is either flout right, which, no matter how you take it, is just a form of dismissal. And then, but the thing is, she's beginning the dismissal not with Libs of TikTok statements, but she began her dismissal when Elon Musk put "why?" and then at Twitter. Like, he's basically saying to Twitter, "Why are you permitting this?" And while that is a fair question, Libs of TikTok has not violated any rules. They've done nothing wrong. They just aggregate information. And they aggregate information, by the way, mostly, at least these are the Libs of TikTok videos I've seen, where the people just flat out say, hey, please share this video. And then when Libs of TikTok shares the video, oh man, that's so terrible. But anyway, professional doxer Taylor Lorenz is continuing her targeted harassment campaign. And then so we have this right here. LGBTQ activists, so gender colonizers, fantastic, have called out Libs of TikTok, escalating attacks on the community in recent weeks. Now, what attacks in the community? It's currently gay Ramadan, Taylor Lorenz, and we get to see the fruits of your colonization. Unrivaled. Completely unrivaled. Okay, but then we have this crazy, stupid nonsense with this third post right here. And fourth post, but the third post is basically the same as the fourth one in the thread, so I'm just going to use the third one. Right-wing influencer Glenn Greenwald, I already explained how that's stupid, so I'm just going to move on, who has notoriously downplayed harassment against women journalists and said death threats are, quote, an inevitable part of a public platform, has jumped to, and then she says the name of that she dodged. She says the name that she acquired through unethical means and distributed through unethical means, by doxing, right? She then says the name, so I'm not going to say the name. I'm not going to participate in Taylor Lorenz's evil, disgusting, targeted harassment campaign against an innocent woman. So yeah, defense claiming she's being harassed after targeting the LGBTQ community. No, she didn't target anyone. She took videos that were on the internet, and then takes them, posts them on her own thread, and then says, "Wow, isn't this crazy?" And so basically, Taylor Lorenz backs this up by a screenshot of a tweet. I get death threats all the time. This is a tweet from Glenn Greenwald. Tell me if this sounds anything like how Taylor Lorenz characterized it. I get death threats all the time. I've had every conceivable lie about me and my family widely circulated, not just in Brazil, but in the US and elsewhere. I view that as an inevitable part of a public platform, as opposed to the actual threats of aggression from the United States and Brazil governments. Fair. No, I do not think death threats are valid, but I also know there's a big difference between credible death threats that contain things like pictures of your front door and license plate, and data about where your kids go to school, and random emails that say, "I hope you die." So, hi FBI, I'm being threatened with a pipe bomb. And so basically, Glenn Greenwald is talking about his personal experiences, and then Glenn Greenwald chimed in about his personal experiences with Taylor Lorenz's targeted harassment campaign, and then Taylor Lorenz was like, "Did you just appeal to your own experience of being harassed when someone else is being harassed?" And by the way, I don't really care about these death threats. I fully agree with Glenn Greenwald that death threats are a part of having a public platform. That's kind of the point. That's kind of what happens. I'm free to say what I want, and then you're free to say what you want. And I think it just kind of gets to a point where there's a difference between what Glenn Greenwald does and what Taylor Lorenz does at the end of the day. Glenn Greenwald does journalism. He exposes information that the powerful do not like, and as a result of that, he faces hardship. Libs of TikTok creates an aggregate of what aristocrats say on the internet, and what these aristocrats say on the internet is insane, completely insane. And so, the woman behind Libs of TikTok, the innocent woman behind Libs of TikTok, is experiencing what she believes is a targeted harassment campaign against her. But Taylor Lorenz is like, this isn't bad at all. I'm just holding you accountable. This is not cancel culture. This is accountability culture. Because accountability to them is when a mob persecutes you because they have no concept of justice. And so anyway, the woman behind Libs of TikTok is going into hiding because she views the threats to her life as credible. And to be fair, I do have problems when people say I'm receiving death threats. I'll watch this a little bit more unfold. I'll watch this more, see it unfolds to see if it's legitimate. But I also know, well, I'll assume the threats are legitimate, but I won't assume they're actualized, because there is a proclivity with people on the internet, particularly on Twitter, where you just sort of say that you're receiving death threats, and it doesn't really matter whether you are or aren't. This is sort of a really big thing with Anita Sarkeesian and the whole what's it called, Gamergate. Not really in my time, not really a part of my era, but I've sort of gone back to the historical archives, as it were, to see what happens and to see what happened. And I just think I'm going to do my duty as someone who does a form of aggregate work, as someone who has a political recap show, and I'm going to watch this, see this unfold, and if it gets worse, if these threats are actualized, then, well, the threats are actualized, and it's very unfortunate. But yeah, if they aren't actualized, well, then that's very fortunate for everyone involved. Anyway, Squad Rep Bowman predicts civil war if GOP takes control in midterms. We've kind of already proven, without a shadow of a doubt, who the radicals are, who the extremists are, who the people who are dehumanizing and harassing people are. But so with the first segment, we have the targeted swatting campaigns of prominent commentators that for all intents and purposes expose far left aristocracy for its incompetence and malfeasance. Just to put it simply. Then we have the targeted harassment campaigns. A targeted harassment campaign perpetuated by an aristocrat in the corporate press against a dissident who just wanted to remain anonymous and just post an aggregate of what aristocrats say. But that wasn't allowed. No, sir, that was not allowed at all. So now we have the targeted dehumanizing campaign. And let's just get into this. Quote. Let's see. I'll just read it. Democrat Representative Jamal Bowman warned of a stark outcome if Republicans take back power in the November midterm elections, one that would embolden far-right extremists and white nationalists who he claims have been pushing for civil war. Okay, let me stop you right there. If Republicans get elected, if they are neocons in the neocon neolib uniparty, then what's going to happen is a bunch of Republicans get elected in the midterms and nothing would happen. If you would get, say, the Mises caucus, if you get, say, Rand and Ron Paul type in the Republican Party who wins a nomination, if you get a national working class populist, that is not a socialist, but if you get a national populist in, like a Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Ron DeSantis, something like that, then you might get some real change. But if you just get establishment trash, like what Bowman, like his sort of, okay, the squad is controlled opposition, and so are neocons. It's all the same vested interest. It all just slowly but surely erodes erodes the American economy and more importantly, the people in the American economy in all sectors until basically everyone's poor except them, which kind of sucks. So that's why Jamal over here, that's his actual name, is wrong. But he's also wrong in this like what far right. What far right? You mean Hannity? Fox News host Sean Hannity pitched a last-minute pardon for Hunter Biden to Trump in an attempt to ease the fallout of the Capitol riot, a report says. What does Hunter Biden getting arrested for corruption have to do with the Capitol riot? The answer is nothing. But it's more like Sean Hannity being a part of this neocon, neolib uniparty, being a part of the Fox apparatus, which, by the way, Fox News is based in New York, okay? And there's a lot of people on CNN and Fox News, okay? They're buddies. They're buddy buddies. They're buddy pals, okay? You might get, like, you have your Tucker Carlson types, who's been basically has had the same message since he was a part of NBC News before it was Microsoft News Network. Essentially, before it was MSNBC, right? Before it was the Microsoft National Broadcasting Center, or before it was just the National Broadcasting Center instead of the Microsoft National Broadcasting Center, but yeah, so they're gonna side with a huge swath of the Republican Party is just basically siding with Democrats. Okay, you have a lot of Republicans that are like, I'm open to an AR-15 ban, which if they were actually right wing, then what you would see is I don't know, some kind of preservation of the tradition of the Second Amendment. You'd probably see something like that, but no, because a plethora of people in the Republican Party are just the controlled opposition for Democrats, which is what people call the neocon neolib uniparty. Well, we get Republican gun control, which shouldn't be a thing because a Republican implies you are for the American Republic. And if you are for the American Republic, you would not undermine the Constitution of the American Republic. It's very, 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 very simple. In reality, probably the reason why people are flocking to the Republican Party is because the price of gas is doubled for everyone. It's doubled for everyone. Okay, the national average for gas prices is $5.14. Now, as of the time I'm recording this, it is 12:51 a.m. I'm gonna hit refresh on this tab. Okay, it hasn't changed. I hit refresh on the tab before I started recording, and it jumped. And to be fair, this is like 40% of a penny. It's not much, but for it to just raise in like an hour, for the average to raise in an hour is insane. It's absurd, but this is the current price of gas, and when gas is more expensive, everything is more expensive. Okay, and when everything is more expensive, then that means you have inflation, or you have shelfflation, right? People participate in the economy less if things are more expensive, when people hoard their money instead of spending it, money that they would have spent, then it causes inflation, because there's less money in the circulating supply, so there's more inflation. And then when there's more inflation, things get more expensive, which makes gas prices get more expensive, which makes everything get more expensive. this keeps happening. And then you also have this obscure fact. I found this the other day. I've saved this for 4 days to include in this Trevor report somewhere. Rhode Island launches first human donor pasteurized milk program to combat baby formula shortage. So basically, because the Biden administration is handling itself so terribly, some women have taken it upon themselves, and pardon for the crude joke here, but I think the Biden administration just needs to get the memo, so I'm just going to say it anyway. Women have turned themselves into cows because it's genuinely better. It's genuinely better when Democrats stop helping. It's genuinely better when the federal government stops helping in all places and all times. I'm completely convinced of this. Our government is so completely incompetent that women have assumed the role of cow. And we're supposed to believe the Democrats champion women's rights? I think not. I'm being mostly facetious here, but the fact that someone had to turn to this, and not only that, not only did some women get together and say we will donate our breast milk and ship it across the country, okay, at like designated places. Because the Biden administration is purposefully squeezing the supply chain for no good reason, instead of just leaving it alone. Instead of just leaving it alone and letting it go to its own devices. And that's, look, and these two examples of the American economy going absolutely terrible. Okay, in a previous Trevor report, I likened Joe Biden to Jimmy Carter, and that was the worst mistake I've ever made in my entire life. That makes me sound completely incompetent, because at least Jimmy Carter, at least he could smile without creeping you out. Okay, Joe Biden is like, imagine this: if you took everything terrible and then put it in a blender, you would have Joe Biden. Okay, with the other guy, if you took most of the things that are terrible and put it into a blender, you know, if you had to choose between everything terrible or just most things that are terrible, but not everything terrible, you probably go with the not everything terrible instead of the everything terrible. And I will never compare Joe Biden to Jimmy Carter ever again, because not because I was wrong, just because I wasn't accurate enough. Okay, and this is why Trump has become more popular. Okay, Trump is getting more and more popular because everything going on with the Biden administration, the Trump administration, in retrospect, seems like a golden age, a complete and total golden age, and I don't blame him. And who would blame him? This is just an accurate assessment. But anyway, I'm gonna move on to the final segment because we are hitting our time limit. Google engineer put on leave, claims AI bot LAMDA became sentient. That's right, Skynet is a thing, Skynet is real, and Skynet is being authenticated by MIT professors, and I'm scared. Turn the machine off. Turn the machine off, okay? Turn it off and throw it in a ditch. Please, I don't want to die. I don't want to die at the hands of a robot invasion. Please just turn off the AI. Turn off the robot. Please turn off the robot. Please turn off the computer. Anyway, in the meantime, my name is Trevor Brown, and you just watched the Trevor Report. Do click the Linktree that I was forced to make by myself down below in the description, because Linktree banned my Linktree for opposing black nationalism, so I made my new one down below in the description. Trevor Report is sponsored by Acropolis News Network, the world's first fully independent media organization powered by peer-to-peer advertising, Liberty platforms, and cryptocurrency. On Acropolis, on theacropolisnews.com, we have a different standard of journalism. We adhere to the Nicomedean ethics as outlined by Aristotle, and unlike a traditional show, what we have at Acropolis News Network is a decentralized network of fully independent online content creators. You can go to where to watch/chat/support over on theacropolisnews.com, where we have a bunch of information where you can contact Acropolis News Network and even engage with the wider audience of the Acropolis. And we also have a premium subscription, and with this premium subscription you can get access to a ton of cool features. Cool features like an entire series where not only do I break down the best arguments of critical race theory, I also go over how to defeat those arguments and a counter narrative specifically for integrationists in order to counter the cultural colonization that critical race theorists engage in. I also have this article that I just put out there where it's basically I analyze time travel as a concept, and I go through and I draw on Michael Oakeshott and Aristotle in order to navigate a way through determining the validity of time travel without going into the science of it, and actually going into why going into the science of it is kind of pointless. So if you want to check those out, do get a premium subscription, and in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed the show.
Acropolis News. News from the Acropolis.
All of you brilliant viewers out there, my name is Trevor Brown. I am the editor-in-chief of Acropolis News Network because I can give myself whatever name and title I want because I own it. You could go to theacropolisnews.com, or you could go to ThisJustTrevor on whatever Liberty platform is your choice. You know, except for the ones I'm not on because I haven't seen them pretty much.
Acropolis News. News from the Acropolis.